Hi, how are you? I hope you are fine. Today I would like to explain you the way that I followed for making my transcription of some cello pieces, the suite from Bach for alto recorder. The problem is not really to make a transcription for example, like the prelude or the prelude number 2, for example, you can play with recorder as it's written. I made my example with a keyboard because I need to make polyphony in some moment, polyphonic structure. But look, this prelude of second suite. You have to do nothing for making a transcription. There is some small moment in which there are notes too low that the recorder cannot play, and you have to change something. But it's very few changement to do. For example, in the last line of this second suite, bar 57. And now Bach wrote the chords. Wonderful chords. Okay, and the flute, the recorder, but also the normal flute cannot play chords, so you have to decide how to do this. And in effect, what I decided was to make why. It was possible other solution like or I decided to start from the higher C sharp, because I was arriving mi, re, do. So I decided to start from the higher note. And in the last quarter to insist of this higher note. But this is a question of taste. Just for explaining you that it's not difficult, not so difficult to make a transcription when you have a lot of, when the part for cello is melodic. But it's a big problem, like sarabande, first sarabande in G major, because it is, some parts are harmonic. Okay, the recorder cannot play chords, so I can play this, 3 notes together, and this, and after this. Okay, what could you do? You can start. You have three elements. melody, bass and harmony. You have to decide what is important for you. In my opinion, in this piece, the melody is something that remains in the memory. So I started with the melody. And I make eighths. So I killed the D and I played B, G, C, G. I avoid the appoggiatura because with these transcriptions was a little mysterious. I prefer to write in above the C, C, A, G. I'm sorry. I'm not able to play violin K and bass K. Allora, so. Okay, and now second bar, Bach wrote. I decide to maintain the trill, but to play also the G. So in these two bars, in my transcription, there is 3 lower G, and I think this is a good idea. G, G, G. Okay, now the piece continues. We don't need to make nothing for the transcription. And now Bach write a chord D, A, C sharp, F sharp, with this dissonance from the trill. What could we do? Nothing. Why? Because the chord is D, F sharp, A. We have an F sharp with trill, and in the alto recorder there is not a lower D, but there is a central D. So if I try to transcribe, to translate this chord in 2 eighths, F sharp and D, what I will obtain and this is tanti auguri a te. D, E, D is not what Bach thought, in my opinion, because Bach wrote and not. So I avoid, cancelled the D, and I cannot ask the flute to play an A, because A, if we have a bass with A, we have the chord of dominant in this tonality G major, D, F sharp, A. We have in the third position, and it is not something that has sense in this music. prefer to make just. Okay, now the music continue without to need transcriptions. But boom, Bach is write for cello and make it D, D. But this second D, we don't have this second D on the recorder, so I decide to write this is like to translate a poem. If you translate a novel, a book of science, of politics, it's easy to make a translation. But if you translate a poem, it's very, very difficult to find the way of make a translation. Sometimes you have to change the order of the word, the sense of the word, because a poem is something more delicate. There is a lot of implication that there are not in a book of science, of medicine, of history. And so I thought that was not good to make 2D on the same A and on the same I. And at the same time I decided that I have not to put all higher, just for having this octave. I thought that the translation could change the order. Okay, and now this is very difficult. There is wonderful. And now attention, a chord of settima di dominante, seventh of dominant. Wonderful. And now attention, big dissonance. Okay, what can we do? It's the same problem of bar 4. If I try to make a chord above F, E, D, I can make just 16ths, F, X, E, D, and this X normally had to be a lower D. But I don't have this lower D. So I risk to write, but it's too different from what Bach was written. If there is some distance, I could understand that one is melody, F, E, D, C, but if the D is higher, no one could think that the second note D is a bass. They will think that it's a melody, and I'm changing the melody of Bach. Bach doesn't write this, didn't write this, Bach wrote. So, all this word for telling you that in my transcription I did nothing in these first four notes. So I wrote, okay, but above this C, natural C, I can make something because I have space and time. X, X. Okay, X 6x. I can make 2 eighths. But I have a chord of 3 notes, D, A, F sharp. So I have to decide. Bach give me 3 notes and I have to use just 2. So I decided to use what was, in my opinion, the most important, the D and the F sharp, and not the A. But this happens in a lot of harmonical, when you make harmonical job, you know that you in a chord you cannot avoid the fundamental note, in this case the D, you cannot avoid the third, in this case the F sharp, you can avoid the A. So this is a good chord, and this is not, because it's empty. But this, no. Okay, so I decided to write C natural, F sharp, and D. Someone could tell, but you can make C sharp, A, D. Yes, but if I wrote, there is some melodical intention. If I make opposite, no one could think that the F sharp and D as part of a melody with B, A, B. So C, B, A, B remain the melody, and F sharp and D remain an accompaniment. Okay. Now we have a chord, but we have 4/16 in the melody. So, or you use 30 seconds, this was a possibility, or I don't like, or I don't think that is a good solution, because you kill this. So in this point I did nothing. I avoid these 2 notes and I just select the melody. But I thought that A was important. So I wrote, oh, I'm sorry. And what it is interesting is this A is a 7th, because the chord is B, D sharp, F sharp, A. So it's interesting that Bach is like a 7th that remain for a lot. So I thought that this A was important. After, no problem. And in this case, of course, I can make with an alto recorder with difficulties, but a lower E. but I make the same of the end of the first part. Now, this is interesting. We have melody. Note that Bach is making a transcription of a polyphony. He cannot play probably in a cello these two notes together, and so it's he herself make. Okay, this is another speech. What I did, I maintain the rhythmical structure of the melody, and I put the bass after the note. This is near this melody, but you don't risk to think that it's a melody. Also, if I play without rhythm, no one could think that this B and this C are part of the melody, but you understand perfectly that is part of the bass. Of course, I cannot play a lower C, but the cello, this note is a string, empty string without finger, and these two. So it's different from cello, that 4 recorder. So this text I transcribe it. Okay, and here, attention. But what Bach wrote, I had two possibilities to make this chord starting from high or starting from low. What you prefer? I prefer the second one. So I wrote why? It's a question of taste, of course. It's a question of experience. I have in my head a lot of pieces of Bach. These. More than. And there is another reason. There's this G sharp go to an A. And if I start with a lower A, this bass, this wonderful bass, chromatic, it's more. And then that in the melody, something can be supposed to happen. Re, do, si, do. Also, if I make this do after some moment, re, do, si, la, sol, it's remain re, do, si, do, because the structure of the melody is so stark that I can make this. And now, this was, I'm sorry, but this was difficult. Bach has a empty chord without, because the chord of cello are C, G, D, A. So can play. Wonderful. But with the recorder, what can we do? We can do this, but with the 32, but it's too new too. So I cancelled all and I just play. Someone could say, oh, but you lost this wonderful. Okay, if you make flute that make two sound together, I can do it. But with my flute, normal recorder, I cannot play. So I have to decide. And I decided to, as Bach make a lot of time in this music, to cut the melody between higher and lower voice. The D, E, F, G, A, and the other B, C, A, B, and this can be together. Something about the end. For a symmetrical structure, I had to write. And it could be possible, but I thought that for finish the sarabande, it was better to write okay. I hope it's useful. I think that I will do the same for the next sarabande. Bye bye.